UFC 314. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on to make sure you share the video too. And also note, I will be live for the entire card Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. We got Nora Cornolle versus Hailey Cowan. I'm going to go with Nora Cornolle to get the win in this one. Pretty low-level women's bantamweight fights. Two girls towards the bottom end. I feel like Cornolle's a little nastier, a little more punching power, a little more speed on her shots too. She has a striking background, and I feel like she's more fluid on the feet. I'd rate her as the better kickboxer between the two ladies. She also has decent clinch work and cage control. Reversal game from the bottom is not bad either. I like her kicking abilities, coming off a loss in the last one to Jacqueline Cavalcanti, who's a really good tactician with smooth striking. And the only girl that's beaten Nora Cornolle as a pro is Cavalcanti. She got 2 losses to her. On the opposite side, we got Hailey Cowan, who was kind of underwhelming in her UFC debut, which is 2 damn years ago now. It's kind of crazy. It's been 2 years since her debut, and she hasn't fought since that point. Lost to Jamie Lynn Horth, 29-28. Kind of close fight. She's a southpaw with all right stand-up, decent kicking skills, especially more so to the body. Her clinch work isn't bad. She's got that like smothering clinch work style. Kind of 50-50 when things hit the mat. She's not super impressive, but does have a decent straight left hand from southpaw, but also lacks head movement, especially after her kicks. Nora Cornolle having some pop. I could see landing some powerful hooks on the inside. I feel like I have a hard time envisioning Hailey Cowan taking Nora Cornolle down and controlling her for 3 rounds. And then when I look at the striking, I expect more significant headshots from Cornolle. Also being in the big cage, I feel like that will help Nora Cornolle because striking from even mid-range, not just long range, but just like striking from range without having the cage coming right up on your backside is an advantage. I expect Cowan to try and wrestle. She might land a couple takedowns, but feel like she could get reversed by Cornolle. I'm going to go with Cornolle. I feel like she can dig a little deeper, a little bit grittier, a little bit meaner. This is lower caliber MMA. We're talking about who's meaner in the damn fight. Cornolle got a little more pop in her punches. I feel like Hailey Cowan, she's got the, blonde hair look. I felt like it was kind of reach when they signed her to the UFC. I'm like, all right, split decision win, super close fight against an unproven girl. Then they bring her into the UFC. Loses to Jamie Lynn Horth on a decision. And Jamie Lynn Horth's okay, I guess. Hasn't fought in 2 years. Now taking on Cornolle, who's done relatively well. 2-1 in the UFC. Did more damage to Jocelyn Edwards in the debut, even though she got out positioned for sure. The Melissa Mullins fight, she was losing on the ground. Comeback stoppage with the body work. And then last fight, like I said, close one with Cavalcanti. I feel like she's decent enough to pull through. Competitive fight, 29-28 decision, -164 for Nora Cornolle, +144 for Hailey Cowan. Are you chasing odds here playing the dog? Probably not. You're going to play Cornolle in a parlay? Probably not. But I do have a strong feeling that we're going the distance. Over 2.5, -205. I would say most likely 3 rounds, 29-28. I feel like Cowan can get a round off of her. Cornolle lands, like I said, bigger shots up high. Spread might be live on the Cowan side. I don't know what that line is just yet. We'll talk about it later on in the week, probably during the weigh-in recap show when we discuss the spreads and whatnot. But I'm going to say that Nora Cornolle decision is the most likely outcome in a relatively close women's bantamweight fight. That's more towards the bottom of the totem pole. So just, keep that in mind if you're actually throwing your hard-earned money on a fight like this. If you're not on the gambling side, you're just making picks, I think Cornolle should win. Should be a little cleaner, a little more powerful, a little more dangerous, but ultimately could end up on her back, could lose a iffy decision here. We'll go Cornolle. Cornolle for the W. Let's get it. Next fight on the card, we got Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. Intriguing fight at middleweight. The pick for me is going to be Marco Tulio. I like Tresean Gore. I will say I was rooting for him on The Ultimate Fighter. He's an athletic and explosive striker. He's got legit power in his hands, and he's pretty good even with his submission threats, but I can't go out and pick a Tresean Gore, even though he looked mad impressive, quickly subbing Trocoli. Trocoli's pretty bad as far as, high level guys go. I don't think he's near even a Marco Tulio level, which is more towards the prospect territory. And then his other win was nearly 2.5 years ago. It was against Josh Frem. He was getting cracked on the feet a little bit by Josh Frem. Pulled off a gnarly ghillie, nearly snapping Josh Frem's neck. But I don't think that his striking, even though it's powerful, is technical enough or defensively sound enough to avoid big shots from Marco Tulio. I see Tulio with good stand-up. I see Tulio with a threat of grappling that he brings into this fight. I feel like he's going to have a good gas tank ready for 3 hard if it goes there. We could see Tulio mixing in a bit of wrestling, but hands on hands, I feel like Tulio's got good power and accuracy. I feel like he could crack Tresean Gore. You guys don't remember, it was a while ago, but Tresean Gore badly dropped by Cody Brundage and then finished in that fight. And I could see Tulio catching him with like a looping shot. Maybe an overhand lands on the chin. I could see Gore hitting the canvas, Tulio following up with some ground and pound. There's also a nasty spinning back body kick that Tulio likes to throw. I just feel like he's a sharper weapon, and he's also got a shitload more of professional MMA fights. He's a shoot-the-box Diego Lima prospect. He had a nice win destroying Potieri in the first round in his UFC debut. Also against Duclos, look a menace on the damn Contender Series. Beat Yusri Belgori as well on Dana White's Contender Series. Less impressive there, but outstruck a former professional kickboxer that trains with Alex Pereira. And I feel like Tulio should find some openings on Gore. I think he's live for the knockout win. Wouldn't be crazy if he had to go a hard 3 rounds because Tresean's talented. It's not like he's a complete scrub. I just think this is a hard matchup for him. Tulio should pull through and get it done against the fast twitch Tresean Gore, but I just don't think he's as powerful as Tulio. Even though he's explosive, like his precision on his power shots is not nearly as good as what you get with Tulio, I feel. So minus 310. Tulio's a chalky favorite. Plus 260 for Tresean. I anticipate the possibility of a knockout is high, but you're going to go under 1.5. It's plus 115. I mean, maybe under 1.5. Tulio could land some big shots in round 1. Gore uncomfortable on the feet, caught with something big, falls to the ground, gets finished. It's just, does it end that quick? I could also see a feeling out process. I don't really love the over-under, at least not on Sunday. We'll see later on in the week. I think Tulio should pull through. Yeah, he's a chalky favorite, but he deserves to be the favorite. What were the lines at open? At open, he was minus 225. I agree with the odds. I think Tresean Gore still has a UFC career in front of him. Like I said, good athlete, pretty talented guy, but I don't think he's got the same precision as a Tulio, and he's not as defensively sound either. And on top of that, lacking the same level of pro experience. And to be fair, wins for both these guys in the UFC, not great. But I got a hunch that Tulio's got a bit higher of a ceiling here and a better fight IQ than Tresean. So I'm going to go Marco Tulio to find the kill shot, and I think he puts Tresean Gore away in this one. Next fight on the card, flyweights going after it. Sumudaerji versus Mitch Raposo. I'm going to go with Sumudaerji, who's on a 3-fight losing streak. I'm picking Sumudaerji. His striking from the outside is actually really, really good. Sumudaerji looked pretty solid against Charles Johnson. He got rocked badly and nearly finished in the second round, but outside of that, had good moments in the fight. Leg kicks are really nice. Striking from range is really nice. He's going to have a big reach advantage here, 7.5 inches, going to be 3 inches taller. His skill set from the outside should take home the win. The question mark around Mitch Raposo is what happens if he gets on top. The issue is, in Raposo's debut, he didn't show a lot of wrestling against Andre Lima. He does have decent boxing, but how good are his hands, right? The hands can move, but how good are the hands really? Southpaw stance, likes to rip shots, but he also fights out of orthodox, so he's a little bit of a switch hitter. His legs got chewed up bad by Lima. I could see some leg kicks from Sumudaerji, but obviously depends on what stance Raposo's in. If he's in southpaw, they're going to land, but from orthodox, not so much. He's a tough kid, though. I mean, Raposo can eat a big shot. I expect him to be tough for 3 rounds. Looking to close the gap on Sumudaerji and wrestle him up. I think Mudaerji does a good job of creating space. He's got a shitload of fights in the UFC at this point. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, but when you look at the opposition level, you can't give him too much flack. Lost to Charles Johnson, who's a top 15 savage. Tim Elliott, same thing, top 15 savage. Subbed up easily in that one. But though Mitch Raposo has a base of wrestling / grappling, I don't feel he's nearly as effective as a Tim Elliott with getting fights to the ground or getting people out of there. And then the Matt Schnell fight. I mean, he had Matt Schnell badly hurt in that fight, and he ended up absolutely fumbling the bag. Sumudaerji's still only 29, though. It's like one of those instances, like Ode Osborne last week over Garule. We're kind of looking at something similar-ish. Mudaerji snappy from the outside with good straight shots. Raposo with good hooks in the close range, but I feel like he's going to have a hard time closing the gap. Also, Sumudaerji is not a bad grappler. He does bring submission threats. Decent little front headlock position, too. And I just question Raposo's level. All of the fights under, like, the UFC banner, if you have UFC debut, loss, Contender Series, loss for Raposo, and Ultimate Fighter, loss for Raposo. He lost to Ludovic Shaunilian there on Ultimate Fighter, Jake Hadley on Contender, and then UFC debut, lost to Andre Lima. The split decision was egregious as well. You guys didn't watch the fight? You might be like, yo, split decision, Raposo? He's a lock. Bruh, there's no split decision. He lost that fight handily. He was outworked for certain by Andre Lima, and he had his leg chewed apart in that fight, and Lima was super precise. And Raposo, I mean, he wrestled a little bit in round 2, but it's not like he was really playing into the wrestling onslaught, and I thought he'd be more active with wrestling attempts, but it wasn't the case. And now he's fighting Sumudaerji, who brings a big advantage in the frame, being a lot longer. Like I said, a lot more experience in the UFC, a pretty sharp striker. Still trains with Song Yadong, and I guess he's still got some upside to me. I question Mitch Raposo's level right now. He's a decent prospect at 26. He's definitely a tough customer. I think he goes 3 hard rounds, but I'll say Sumudaerji stings him with some big shots. Raposo, I expect him to try and wrestle more in this fight than in his UFC debut, but ultimately I think the wrestling onslaught will still be relatively ineffective. Sumudaerji is a 2-1 favorite. Raposo plus 170 as the dog. I think Sumudaerji live for a decision. Could snipe Raposo and put him away. Minus 205 for the over. Don't love it. Chalky favorite in Sumudaerji. I mean, he's a good pick. Betting wise, there's not like a ton of value. It's just when you look at Raposo's wins, you have to remind yourself he hasn't fought anybody good and won. He's lost to anybody good. Valentine, journeyman, he knocked him out in the 4th round. Another guy, journeyman, 2-0. I guess not journeyman, but unproven, 2-0 guy. So a year and 10 months ago, he's fighting somebody 2-0. A year and 2 years and 8 months ago. But like a year ago, we got Mudaerji fighting Tim Elliott. Nearly 3 years ago, it's against Matt Schnell, which that loss hasn't aged that well, but there were good moments there. Adeshev was shit. Malcolm Gordon turned out to be shit. Sumudaerji has beaten some cans in the UFC, and none of his wins hold a lot of weight, to be fair. But still a relatively good fighter. Like when you watch his fights and like you take away positives, like the Charles Johnson fight, there was still things to like. He landed good shots on Johnson, who's got a shitload of fights, is super active. Now you got Mitch Raposo not having fought in 10 months. It was a loss to Andre Lima by decision. Respect him for stepping into it, but I don't know, man. I'm just not sold on the level. I'm going to go with the Tibetan Eagle to win. He's a little sharper in the striking and the takedown defense. Even if it doesn't hold up in full effect and he ends up on his back a bit, I don't know about the certainty of like a Mitch Raposo just smothering him for 3 rounds, but minus 187 tag. So like nearly 2-1 for Sumudaerji in this fight. I have a feeling there'll be some underdog love this week for Raposo. There's already been, it opened up at plus 250, like minus 205. Are we going distance? I got a feeling we do. Mudaerji's got some stinging shots. He does have a KO, but it's Malcolm Gordon. How many knockouts he's got in the UFC, though? Yeah, man, just 1 KO win in the UFC. 3-4 UFC record is pretty bad as well. And I mean, shit, 3 losses by submission is a horrible look. Raposo's got 3 sub wins, but it's just opposition is everything, man. He's subbing up guys that are 3-2. He's finishing guys that are, 4-2, 2-0, 7-4-1, right? It's not like he's gone out there and beaten anybody near UFC level. He doesn't have a win over a Zaruk Adeshev or a Malcolm Gordon level of guy. He's beaten all local fighters. And as soon as the level jump has been brought, Raposo has shown nothing really but toughness. He hasn't really shown too much offensive attack. I mean, like I said, his hands are not bad. He can box a bit. More so known for his grappling, but didn't go to it enough at all against Lima. And he got absolutely handled. 30-27. Don't fall into the trap that was a split decision. I'll say Sumudaerji keeps his UFC career alive and wins in a close fight, but definitely don't love the chalky favorite status for a guy who's down 3 straight. But you got to respect the Charles Johnson fight where he showed some decent abilities and definitely some good recovery. Next fight, we got Cedric Dumas versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I'm going with Mikhail Oleksiejczuk all day in this one. I feel like Cedric Dumas going to be a little too slow on the feet for him. He's got the length advantage, but not great from the outside. Dumas a lot of the times likes to get in close and mix shots up. He can pressure grapple a bit, but I wouldn't say he's a high caliber wrestler. He's got okay wrestling skills, not much of a submission threat, but threatens with control. Oleksiejczuk has been very bad on the ground, so if there's any big flaw about Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, it's that he is a very suspect grappler. That's a fact. Suspect grappling skills for Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, no doubt about it. But what he does bring to the table is very strong boxing pressure, really good boxing combinations. I would say he's got nice hooks and a good boxing flow overall. And you need to watch for his southpaw left to the body, rips his shots to the body nicely. And if you watch, Cedric Dumas last time was getting backed up a bit by Dennis Tululin, but Tululin is essentially only a headhunter. If he's backing up against Oleksiejczuk, Oleksiejczuk is going to rip the body a bit, and I think he'll find success. And those body shots from Oleksiejczuk will slowly but surely begin to really add up in this fight. And I think Oleksiejczuk, with success working the body, is going to land big shots to the head, and I think he's going to end up knocking Cedric Dumas out. He's still young at 30 years old. I know you can look, 1-4 in his last 5. Chara Bullet lost, but Chara Bullet is a refined kickboxer. He lost MVP. Okay, but it's MVP. Like, Cedric Dumas is not near that level, and Oleksiejczuk still went 3 hard rounds with him. Kevin Holland subbed him up, but let's not forget Oleksiejczuk badly dropped Kevin Holland in that fight. And then fight before that, Michel Pereira absolutely killed him. Win over Chidi Njokuani. Njokuani's doing damn good at welterweight. Oleksiejczuk got cut up a bit early, nasty inside work there by Chidi, but then was able to fire some big shots back and get him out of there in round 1. A Barrio loss, but now he's training with them, man. He's decided that he wants to be the Polish Fighting Nerd. So respect to the Fighting Nerds team. I really think that Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, at the very least, is going to have better wrestling / grappling defense, which will help him here, because I do anticipate Cedric Dumas is going to look to take him to the ground. I feel as though Dumas is going to get caught with big shots, was clapped against Rizzy Boyev. To be fair, he got his eye poked too, but also has got cracked with big shots, was getting outstruck there. And when you look at the wins, Tululin, 11-9. Abu Azaitar, complete fraud. Cody Brundage, it's Cody freaking Brundage, man. And he did dominate that fight. That's probably his most impressive win. A loss to Josh Friend by submission, aged horribly, but he's gotten better since that point. I like Dumas. I mean, I was confident he would beat it to Tululin, and I've picked Dumas a handful of times, but I think Mikhail Oleksiejczuk's a lot better at boxing, and I anticipate this fight will be in close range for, excuse me, at least a fair amount of time. And I'll say Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is able to find that kill shot, land some big shots, and hurt Cedric Dumas. Minus 200 for Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Dumas at plus 170. Oleksiejczuk should pull through. Looking towards over a round and a half is minus 170. I'll say that it is live to go over a round and a half. Not saying you to chase it, but I think Oleksiejczuk could box him up, land some big ones, hurt Dumas, and get a finish. But it wouldn't be crazy if it was relatively competitive and Oleksiejczuk lands more significant shots. And if he got it on the cards and was able to stop Dumas's wrestling attacks, touch him up and knock him off balance with strikes and get it on the scorecards, I don't think that's crazy, right? It's not like Oleksiejczuk is like this super fast twitch, quick starting savage is just going to blitz you out the gate. He throws big shots early and he's definitely pressure heavy and he could catch Dumas, but I feel like Dumas has a decent chin. And if Oleksiejczuk is to knock him out, I guess I feel like it could take a little more time. But then you think of the Kevin Holland fight where he hurt him bad. And if Holland doesn't have that level of jiu-jitsu, Oleksiejczuk's probably getting a first-round knockout. And I don't rate Dumas's hands at the level of Kevin Holland. So I'm going to say Oleksiejczuk by KO is the official method of victory call, but it could be towards the later side. We'll see what Dumas brings to the table. But I really have to tell you guys, watch for body work. Oleksiejczuk attacking the body and investing in that early on, it's going to start dropping those hands of Dumas as the fight continues to wear on. And then around, that 8-9 minute mark, I really think Oleksiejczuk could capitalize with big hooks to the head and end up getting a knockout. So me call Oleksiejczuk by KO from the Fighting Nerds now and snapping the fucking losing streak. Next fight on the card, we got Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa. You guys might think I'm crazy, but I'm picking Darren Elkins to win this fight. And it's not because he's a big underdog. When I made this pick, I didn't go look at the odds, but when I saw the fucking odds, I said to myself, what the hell? Julian Erosa tends to fight to the level of his opposition, right? So he looked great subbing up C-Rod. Granted, he was in a testy fight on the feet there. His hands are smooth, but very hands-low style. We've seen Erosa hurt before. Ricardo Ramos sub. Again, he got hurt bad in that fight, and then he pulls out the ghillie. I mean, absolutely gnarly ghillies. Darren Elkins was caught in I don't know how many ghillies by Daniel Pineda. Pineda could not get the finish. I think that Darren Elkins is going to be able to fight out of Erosa's ghillie. I do anticipate at some point Erosa is going to shoot for that ghillie as Elkins is wrestling. But Elkins is one of those gritty journeymen that finds ways out of spots, and I feel like Elkins is going to find his way out of that Erosa ghillie and end up on top. And I feel like Elkins can outgrind Erosa with a bit of ground and pound in a back and forth fight. Erosa slicker from the outside and more dangerous with submissions, but Elkins dog tough in the dirty boxing range and strong with his wrestling, gets this fight to the ground. I feel like Elkins 29-28. Like, I feel as though he's not going to get washed in this fight. I mean, if you look at Elkins' run, he's been submitted one time. That submission loss was all the way back in 2010 against Charles Oliveira, who went on to become an MMA legend. Has not been submitted since that point. Daniel Pineda is known for a gnarly ghillie, and Elkins was able to fight out of several tight ghillie attempts from Pineda, who's kind of a similar level to what we get with Erosa. Then you look at the losses for Erosa, knocked out by Padilla, knocked out by Bruce Leroy, has a win over Dawodu, which is actually pretty impressive. But I think Darren Elkins can make this a gritty dogfight and pull off the surprise. He's still riding a 2-fight win streak. Say what you want, TJ Brown shit. Daniel Pineda's washed. Fair points, but is like Julian Erosa that much of a level jump from those guys? Is he? With his hands low to the side? I mean, he has an unorthodox boxing flow, but he's definitely hittable. He could definitely be out-wrestled here by Elkins. He could definitely be outworked. I don't agree with the odds at all. I see this as a 50-50 fight. Like, could Erosa be the first guy to lock Elkins in a ghillie and tap him? Sure, he's got those long, skinny arms, a possibility. Could Erosa jab him up and pick him apart from the outside and win a close decision? Sure, Erosa could do it. But there's also a real possibility, and I think this is the most likely scenario, that Elkins makes it a dirty fight, lands some weird shots in close, drags Julian Erosa to the ground, gets some control time. Erosa gets back up, and we get more of the same, and we kind of get a crazy back and forth, and Darren Elkins outlasts Julian Erosa, which Elkins' whole career is built on outlasting people. And I think he pulls off a close decision win in a really weird fight. The odds being this wide is definitely a head scratcher. Though the odds are this wide, not like I'm telling you, bro, lock in that underdog. It's absolutely it. But I think Elkins is live to win at plus 305. I mean, holy shit, man. What were the opening odds? Plus 400. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. You can let me know in the comments if you think I'm overlooking Erosa's mighty skill set, but I feel as though, yes, Darren Elkins had a speed disadvantage. Yes, Darren Elkins had a distance striking advantage, but advantage in wrestling and better in dirty fights. And I feel like if this turns into a Darren Elkins type of fight, he's definitely live to get a gritty win against Julian Erosa, man. Over 2.5 minus 115. I feel like it probably goes over 2.5, but not going to go say chase that shit. I think Elkins gets caught in a gilly, but fights out of a gilly. Ends up on top of Erosa, works a bit from top. I can see Erosa throwing up multiple gilly attempts and Elkins finding ways out. Erosa's got a gnarly one, and he's got the perfect build to lock up a gilly, but Darren Elkins' submission defense is out of this world, man. And the guy never gives up on positions. I'm going to say Darren Elkins gets a weird decision in a wild back and forth type of fight. And I feel as though he keeps his UFC career going at 40 years old. It's one of those matchups too. Like, though Erosa's pretty quick, it's not like Erosa has this death touch power. You look at Elkins' bad loss in 2021 against Cub Swanson. Say what you want, but Swanson's boxing is fucking dangerous, man. Erosa's got good pepper in shots, but he's not a knockout artist. And then the loss to Jonathan Pierce, he ended up getting out wrestled. Erosa's not out wrestling him. I'm going Darren Elkins for the upset, and I'm surprised at the betting lines. They don't make a lot of sense to me. I thought that maybe Erosa at 2-1, but nearly 4-1? Crazy. Crazy. Next fight on the card, we got Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. I am picking Chase Hooper. Sorry, old man Jim. I just can't bring myself to pick Jim Miller against an improving Chase Hooper. We've seen Chase Hooper at the bottom. Steve Garcia beat the fuck out of him and honestly probably made him rethink fighting. Since then, he has rallied off 4 impressive wins, dominated Nick Fior, and then Jordan Levitt's submission, and Levitt's a good grappler. Followed that up with a sub over Borshov, but also beat the fuck out of him on the ground, and he had dropped him on the feet, and that's before Slava's career kind of collapsed in front of our eyes. I feel like Chase Hooper's the reason that it did. Clay Guida, quick sub. I mean, Guida, gritty pressure wrestler, but not great jiu-jitsu. And Chase Hooper, to be fair, had already beaten him in pure grappling, so not a surprise in the fight he subbed him. Even if he's unable to sub Jim Miller, though, I think Chase Hooper could out-grapple or out-position Jim Miller over the 3 rounds. He's going to have a good height advantage, slight reach advantage. Yes, Jim Miller still cracks with power, but I feel as though Chase Hooper's chin issues are significantly overplayed. He does have like a long and tricky game. His striking's gotten a lot better. If you see his physique, he's like obviously put on some muscle tissue. And I do think that'll help him if this fight turns into a grappling match, which I anticipate Hooper is going to attempt some grappling here with Jim Miller. And I think he'll win a lot of the grappling exchanges. Feel as though he'll be a lot quicker. There's a lot of miles on that Jim Miller car. And like, yeah, he's, won 3 out of his last 4 fights. And a loss against Bobby Green is not awful. A win against Damon Jackson is okay. But, Jackson, a journeyman featherweight who retired after. Benitez, journeyman featherweight who retired after. Jesse Butler shouldn't be in the UFC. Hernandez handled business against him. King Green handles business against him. I think Chase Hooper handles business against him. I think Chase Hooper gets on top. Controls on the ground, threatens with submissions, might not finish. Jim Miller is a pro, only submitted 3 times, but still there has been guys that have pulled off subs against him. It's been a minute though. All right. Last submission loss, Charles Oliveira in 2018, right? You keep digging back. It's going to take you years. 2015, Chiesa choked him out. And then he got subbed up by Nate Diaz back in 2012. But it's not crazy to think that Chase Hooper, having the size advantage, gets the back of Jim Miller and is able to somehow beat the 41-year-old by rear naked choke, especially with the streak that Hooper's on. I don't think that's a crazy outcome, but a decision won't blow my mind either. I think Hooper can control this grappling, and I feel like he wins the fight for sure. As far as the odds, yeah, they're hideous, minus 700. I didn't think Chase Hooper was from Dagestan. I didn't anticipate Chase Hooper to be minus 700 against anybody, but okay, this is this week. Welcome to UFC, bro. Welcome to 314. Plus 525 for old man Jim Miller. I don't think that Jim Miller's winning. Under is minus 125. What's over a round and a half? If minus 134 is real for over a round and a half, that's fucking crazy. Could see it going over a round and a half. Could I see Jim Miller getting subbed in round 1? Maybe. I definitely think Hooper is going to get Miller in bad spots on the ground, and he's going to showcase the skill set and his control ability. But is he going to finish the old man Jim Miller by sub? It's like hard for me to confidently say it, but it's a possibility. I feel like sub or decision, if you're looking for, some type of prop that you need here, you go double chance. Cause I think most likely if Hooper's to win, it's sub or decision. I doubt he knocks Jim Miller out. If it's Jim Miller, how does he win? Knockout or decision? Rocks Chase Hooper, maybe clubs and subs him, but we're chasing, bro. We're pulling at straws here. Jim Miller cult, respect to Jim Miller. He's a fucking savage OG. But I got to go with the 25-year-old primed up and comer. He's 15-3 as a pro. Yes, he's taking some L's, but he's on a really good 4-fight win streak. He started to fill out his man frame, and I think he handles the aging Jim Miller. So Chase Hooper for the win. Next fight on the card, it's our featured prelim of the night. We got Verna Jandiroba versus Yan Xiaonan. Verna Jandiroba. I'm going with the grappling. I feel like Yan Xiaonan is going to be put in compromised positions on the mat. Verna has good takedowns, and even if she doesn't get the first one, she's got good chain wrestling. She'll press you up against the cage. She'll control you there. She'll keep shooting. She's eventually going to get you to the ground, and Yan Xiaonan doesn't pose much of a threat of submissions, nor much of any threat of submissions when fights hit the mat. Let's keep it real, but Yan Xiaonan hits hard. She's got good boxing. Her hands are fast. She's got a nasty straight shot. She's explosive. She's powerful. Her wrestling defense isn't awful, but it's also not great. You look at Yan Xiaonan against, Mackenzie Dern. She's in compromised spots on the ground. Yeah, she beat up Tabitha Ricci in the last one, but it's Tabitha Ricci. Ricci is not Verna Jandiroba level of grappling and wrestling ability. Not at all. Lost to Zhang Weili, and Weili had Xiaonan nearly out in that choke. Crazy, right? Bell rung, essentially. She was out. She went to sleep, but they let the fight keep going on. Verna Jandiroba can get this fight finished by submission. I'm picking Verna by sub. The Andrade knockout was really impressive, but Andrade just tried to blitz her like a mad woman. And then Marina Rodriguez's loss was actually a bullshit decision, to be fair. Verna's on a 4-fight win streak. Lemos' submission showed just how good her jiu-jitsu is. It was a fucking fabulous transition from back to armbar. She's slick as hell on the mat. Lupi Godinez win, solid W. Lupi, tough girl, good volume, solid wrestling. Marina Rodriguez domination, fair. Angela Hill win, fair for her. She does have the loss to Hebas. The only girls that have beaten Jandiroba have been like the queens of grappling / wrestling that, are known in the women's strawweight division, which is kind of wild that I think Jandiroba at this point looks better than all of them. Hebas, Dern, and Esparza are the 3 girls that have beaten Jandiroba, but I feel as though her level has rose a lot in the past 3.5 years since that Hebas fight. I mean, to go out and submit Amanda Lemos and beat her impressively and do what the champ wasn't able to do in finishing her by submission, I think the stock of Verna Jandiroba is extremely high right now. Yan Xiaonan is terrifying. She's powerful and explosive. She can absolutely crack Verna with a big shot. But after she cracks her, if she doesn't put her down and out, and let's be real, it's 115 pounds. How often are we seeing one-shot KOs? It happens on occasion, but it's not like it's every other weekend. These ladies are putting each other out with big punches, but we do see women getting subbed up and women getting controlled on the mat. I think Verna Jandiroba taking this fight to the ground and working towards a submission. She's so threatening with all of the limbs. Like every fucking limb you have is at risk. Your arms are in trouble and your legs. You can get locked in a leg lock, a knee bar, ankle, whatever the fuck she wants. Heel hook, whatever she wants. Leg entanglements. Darren's dangerous there. You look also at the armbar that she got last time against Lemos. Extremely impressive and technically profound. Back control. Too threatening. Too dangerous with jiu-jitsu. Yan Xiaonan's striking is awesome. Fuck yeah. But she's not going to be able to win the battle of grappler versus striker because Jandiroba is eventually going to drag her to the ground and she is going to submit her in some fashion. Could be a rear naked choke. Could be a Darce choke, could be an armbar, could be a fucking leg lock. But I think Verna does eventually finish Yan Xiaonan on the mat here and gets the submission. And I think she's going to make a big statement with that to the champion because let's be real. If Verna Jandiroba wins this fight, her and Weili Zhang, I would assume, has to be next. Who else has, Hailey not ran through amongst the top? She beat Tatiana Suarez, who was supposed to be the boogie woman. Now it's Verna Jandiroba, who's got a chance. She got the sub threat, especially. I want to see it. And I think she handles Yan Xiaonan first. Minus 155, Jandiroba. Plus 135 for Yan Xiaonan. Under 2.5, plus 150. I think there's a real chance that Verna Jandiroba finds the finish here. And I truly believe at 36 years old, right now, Verna is as good as she has ever been, and it's not comparable. I feel as though 2025 is her year to fight for the belt. Does she get past Hailey? That's a conversation for a completely different video. She's got to handle Yan Xiaonan first. I do think she handles Yan Xiaonan, and I'm going to predict that she gets a submission finish, which, kind of Hailey did as well, choked her out. But then the fight went on because, the bell rung and Xiaonan's out. I think Verna can get the sub. I think she can get the finish. I think she will get the sub, and I think she will get the finish. I think Yan Xiaonan's going to get choked out here or somehow submitted, right? Some type of limb, but maybe I favor a strangle, but I think her limbs are also at risk, man. Darren was damn close on that arm triangle too, so I'm going to go Verna Jandiroba, submission win over the powerful Yan Xiaonan. Next fight on the card, it brings us to our featured prelim of the night, Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. Woo, making a pick on this one. Okay. Well, I'm going to take Sean Woodson because of his length advantage and vast experience as an amateur boxer. Sean Woodson is super long, 6'2", right, to 5'7", 78-inch reach to 71. That 7-inch reach advantage, I really think is going to come in handy. Ige is going to be looking to close the gap, throwing powerful shots in close range. Sean Woodson has an unorthodox boxing style, but he's very smooth. He's very mobile. He does move his head well. He does block shots well. He's a very tactical striker. And I really feel like he's starting to come into his own. He's got the big win last time out, knocking out Padilla. And Padilla has looked impressive in fights, and he absolutely ran through him. And then the next day, I met Padilla. So shout out to Padilla. He's a good guy. But damn, son, Sean Woodson put him away. Alex Caceres win, which, Bruce Leroy's not an explosive and powerful striker like Dan Ige, but it's still a nice W. Woodson's got smooth striking, and he moves well. He closes the gap and throws big shots well. Not necessarily like a heavy hitter, but does have clean boxing combinations and throws a lot of volume. He's elusive. He's got a good feint game. He's accurate. He's hard to read in the stand-up, and I feel like Dan Ige is going to be chasing with big power shots, and he also, trust me, I think Ige is going to look to wrestle a bit here because he's dealing with a guy that has an unreal range advantage on him. You have to assume Dan Ige needs to be in close range, and mixing in some wrestling could potentially open up the big left hook or the big overhand shot. I feel like Sean Woodson's going to be able to avoid those shots from Ige, man. We've seen Ige checked before by guys that can box and pick up shots from range. And I think that's what Sean Woodson's going to do. I like Ige's style with the heavy pressure attack. I like the consistent volume. I like the no-quit mentality. I think it's going to take him all 3 rounds. I think he's going to be in a close fight with Sean Woodson. But I think Sean Woodson's going to be a bit sharper of a blade. I feel like he takes the first round. Ige's looking to come on strong. We saw Ige rock Lerone Murphy last time, so you got to give him some respect for the pop. I feel like Sean Woodson's going to avoid the power strikes with this crazy-ass range advantage, man. 6'2" to 5'7" in a striking heavy fight is such a fucking advantage. And Sean Woodson, having the experience as an amateur boxer, pretty good MMA boxing, mixes his shots up nicely. Overall, just developing a better and better skill set. And I think he's, more so moving towards the top 15 where Ige is the gatekeeper. Looking to defend the rankings for sure. He's 1-3 out of his last 4, but Lerone Murphy fight, he dropped him around 1, then he got outworked throughout the rest of the fight, but he was tough. Diego Lopes fight, he was tough and strong late in the fight, but still got outworked in the fight and, super short notice. Badass knockout over Andre Fili. The Bryce Mitchell win was a back and forth war, but none of the fighters I listed off are 6'2" with a 78-inch reach and vastly experienced as amateur boxers, And Sean Woodson on this 4-fight win streak, I feel like he's going to eke out a win Styles make the fights, and I feel like stylistically, this is a bad matchup for Ige. Of course, he'd have a puncher's chance, but I have a hard time seeing Dan Ige on a decision. And if he's not able to knock Sean Woodson out and he's forced into a technical striking match, I just don't think he's going to win. Minus 170 for Sean Woodson, Dan Ige at plus 145. Feel like people are going to be all over Ige as a dog this week. You're not crazy. He could jump a big shot over the top. He could land an overhand. It's like, oh, well, Luis Puello rocked him in this fight. Bro, that was fucking 2 years, 7 months ago. He's gotten a lot better. Puello still didn't finish him off. Say what you want about fight IQ mistakes, celebrating too early, but he didn't finish him. Could Ige land the death shot and rock him? Maybe. Minus 250 for the over. That range advantage is big, man. And I think that Sean Woodson working from range, the nickname the sniper is perfect for him. I think he's going to beat Dan 50K Ige. I'm going Sean Woodson, unanimous decision, out striking, out peppering, and outworking the grizzled vet. All right. He's taking out Dan Ige by a decision. I'm going Woodson. Next fight on the card, it brings us to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Nikita Krylov versus Dominick Reyes. I'm picking Dominick Reyes, man. Nikita Krylov ain't fought in 2 years, bro. Win over Ryan Spann by sub, which I guess that's kind of impressive, right? Ryan Spann 2 years ago was menacing. Ryan Spann 2 years ago knocked out Dominick Reyes. It's been, some growth time for Dom Reyes. There's been some growth. There's been a break in competition and finding himself again. Dominick Reyes is fast, man. Say what you want about the chin. You worry about it. Okay. Dominick Reyes has really good boxing chops. He's got good strikes from close range, mid range, and long range. Got fast combinations with real power in his hands. Like he can clap Krylov with some big punches and potentially drop him. Krylov taking 2 years off is not a great look. And you have to also rate Dominick Reyes' wrestling defense is very high. Let's be real, man. The only guy to give John Jones the real, run for his money where he probably could have got that win, Dom Reyes, defending the takedowns, landing big combinations. And sure, things fell apart and he lost 4 fights in a row since then, but he's still the same guy. He's regained confidence. He got 2 straight finishes. Knocked out Dustin Jacoby, which I thought was really impressive in the first round. Handled him in 2 minutes. Beat up Anthony Smith, and Smith essentially had no answer. And what Reyes showed there is also patience, but he still has big thudding knockout power with strong defensive wrestling, really good footwork, and now the confidence is high again. You got to assume, going into the Jacoby fight, he's shitting his pants because, fuck, I've lost 4 straight. Is it going to be 5? Wins. Then it's like, damn, okay, I got 1 win, but I don't know. Now he's got 2 straight finishes, and he's looking smooth. And it's like, okay, Krylov hasn't fought in a minute. Krylov is more of a pressure wrestling-based fighter. Don't start celebrating his hands with a win over a wash Gustafsson, okay? Alexander Gustafsson, if you rewatch that fight, the punches that Krylov landed would not have wobbled Gustafsson in his prime. Gustafsson's chin was completely and utterly gone, okay? He was Glass Joe in that matchup against Krylov. And yeah, Krylov blitzed him early in the fight, dropped him multiple times, and got a quick knockout in round 1. That's not the Gustafsson. Now you might say, oh, well, Reyes' chin. Chill. Reyes' chin is not washed like that. And Reyes has got good hand speed, and he's got good defensive reads, and he's also a southpaw, which makes things really interesting for Krylov. Then it was a win over Ozdemir for Krylov. Not a horrible win. And then, the win over Ryan Spann by sub. Okay. But 2 years out of the game, he was supposed to fight Azamat Murzakev, so it's not like, he hasn't been training. But I'd assume there might be a little bit of ring rust. And now we have a surging Dom Reyes. So let's ask this question. If Krylov is unsuccessful in dragging this fight to the ground and controlling Dominick Reyes in wrestling, something that has been proven extremely difficult to do, tell me who's doing it. Tell me who's doing it. Who's taking him down and beating him up in wrestling? Who? If Krylov is unable to do that, confident in Krylov knocking Dom Reyes out just because he's taken a couple losses, I know. But say what you want. Oh, well, Ryan Spann beat him, and he beat Ryan Spann. Does Nikita Krylov crack with the same power of Ryan Spann? And to be honest, that was a bit of a fluke. But I'm not trying to make excuses. Just saying. He doesn't. Does he crack like Yuri Prohashka? And Prohashka was dropped in that fight. He doesn't. Does he crack like Jan Blachowicz? No. Dominick Reyes is going to win. And I think Dominick Reyes is going to knock Nikita Krylov out and actually get back in the mix of the elites and somehow turn his career around after the 4-fight losing streak to a 3-fight win streak and a potential late career resurgence and maybe even a fucking top contender fight type matchup for Dom Reyes. I'm picking Dominick Reyes, man. I think he's going to sleep Nikita Krylov. We've seen Krylov fight a lot, okay? Paul Craig fight, lost the decision to Ankalaev. Could go out there and lose the decision to Reyes. Absolutely. I think Reyes could outwork him for 3. But I feel like the 2 years off, Krylov is going to get caught slipping with a big shot. And I have watched Nikita Krylov's entire fucking career, bro. Do you guys understand? I remember this Soa Palele fight. When he came in, he was the Al Capone, you know, that was like his moniker. Then he loses that, gets a win over Wall Harris, falls apart a little bit, comes back, gets a quick release, makes his comeback. And I'm like, what? I remember being surprised that he beat OSP in the rematch if he got handled the first time. Then he has difficult fights, like, okay, with Glover. I get it. He's, oh, well, Glover split, but Glover don't got the speed of Reyes. Don't compare these old matchups. I'm just mentioning the resume. Beat Johnny Walker by decision, grapple fucked him. He's not grapple fucking Dominick Reyes, and he's going to be forced into a firefight on the feet that he's not ready for. And I think the chin is going to get tested, and I think he's going to get put out. I'm going Dominick Reyes to knock Nikita Krylov unconscious, and he's a fucking underdog at plus 170. Opened up at plus 150. I think that's better. Minus 205 now for Krylov. It was minus 175 at open. I think that's too wide. Minus 150 is fair. This tag here, give me Reyes all day. Over a round and a half, minus 165, possible, because Reyes could be patient. And I'll assume Reyes is probably on the patient side. He showed patience against Smith. But when that left hand comes through, I don't think Krylov eats it well. I don't think Krylov has the striking defense. I don't think Krylov has the strike speed. I really don't think Krylov has a chance standing up. He's got to grapple fuck Reyes, and that's proven to be extremely hard to do. And I'm going to say Dom Reyes stops takedowns, lands big shots, and gets a knockout win over Nikita Krylov. So Dom Reyes underdog to start the main card off with a savage call. We're going for the Devastator. Let's fucking go. Next fight on the card, Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. This is the UFC debut for the Bellator GOAT, Patricio Pitbull. I am picking Patricio Pitbull to win. If you follow the channel throughout the week and you watch me during the live streams in the lead up, you guys know I've already spoke highly of Pitbull, but the official prediction is everything. Patricio Pitbull's a good striker. He's got a karate-esque kickboxing style, good bounce, good power in his hands, nasty straight shots, good elbows in close range, solid leg kicking. He's very accurate, calm, and well-versed. He has a high-level grappling game, and he does have good takedown ability. Do not underestimate the wrestling skill set of Patricio Pitbull, but he hits fucking hard. At 37 years old, you can say, he's washed. Oh, well, Jeremy Kennedy hit him with a big shot, and he touched the canvas. Jeremy Kennedy is actually really fucking good. You got to give some respect to these PFL guys. I watched PFL this past week, and Jeremy Kennedy went tooth and nail with Movlid Kubalayev, the Dagestani, and potentially could have got the split decision. And Pitbull fucked him up. Patricio Pitbull has still got some. He's, he lost to Chichiro. He took the fight on a few days' notice. He got caught with a big shot. He lost to Sergio Pettis. Dog, he drained himself, cutting weight like a menace. You know how TJ Dillashaw cut the flyweight and he was super unhealthy? Yeah, Patricio did that same thing, but he still went 5 rounds against the sitting champ at the time at 135 pounds. Patricio Pitbull is a well-rounded and experienced MMA champion. On the opposite side, we got Yair Rodriguez. Rodriguez is an explosive striker. He's a very dangerous kicker. I'd say he has baseball bat type kicks. Like his legs are essentially fucking baseball bats. He's long. He's really quick. He's really fast twitch. His hands are not great though. He's not a great boxer. He's a really good kicker and he's decent with his straight shots. But I feel as though Patricio Pitbull finding ways on the inside of Yair Rodriguez will have success. Boxing in close range, mixing and wrestling. Follow the patented Alexander Volkanovski game plan to handle a Yair Rodriguez. You go back and you watch Volkanovski was able to exploit the lack of wrestling that Yair has always lacked. I think Patricio Pitbull can land big punches in close range, but also mixing and takedown and showing that grappling advantage is a key to success. For me, it's not the question of Pitbull victory. It's how. How does he get it done? Historically, Pitbull's been pretty well-versed with methods of victory. Do you see this shit? You see what I'm talking about? 12 wins by knockout, 12 wins by submission, and 12 wins by decision. Making his UFC debut, I really feel like he is going to want to make a statement here. Ground and pound is not a crazy outcome, but could he lock up a sub against Yair taking his back? I'm leaning towards a late stage knockout ground and pound, but I won't lie to you guys. I'd be lying to you if decision wasn't also on my mind. I feel like he can win this fight with control, landing bigger and better shots. I feel like Yair also starts to fade a little bit later in fights. You say, oh, well, he got a 5th round knockout against, the Korean zombie. Yeah, but he was still losing that fight and landed the perfect back elbow. I don't see him beating Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull's going to be able to go 3 hard. Absolutely. He's been 5 rounds numerous times. Yair Rodriguez, yes, he was the interim champ, but ultimately when the level was truly put to the highest, when he took on some of the best, Brian Ortega beats him. Okay. Yeah, he won the first fight by injury, but Brian Ortega beats him. Okay. Other loss, Max Holloway lost to Volkanovski. The recent win in the in-between is Josh Emmett, who's quite good, but just got handled by Lerone Murphy and isn't towards the elite. With Patricio Pitbull, even if you've never seen it before because you were not a fan of Bellator, he was a dominant and long-standing Bellator champion for years and years and years and years on end. He was the king of Bellator. He's beaten Michael Chandler in Bellator. I think Patricio Pitbull has that one last run in him. And even if you watch his post-fight interview after the fucking Bellator final fight for him, he mentioned UFC championship. And his goal has always been to cross over. And I'm grateful that we get to see it, man. I was worried it would never happen. I was passionate about this Pitbull debut. You can watch a couple of videos from me absolutely going after Bellator/PFL for not giving Pitbull the contract release so he could come here. Pitbull for the W all day, man. I've been asking for this. He's been asking for it. And I think the hardcore fans that followed Bellator, especially OG Bellator, they know what a motherfucking savage Pitbull is. When you're talking about dog, Pitbull is absolutely that. Yair Rodriguez is going to get outdogged, outworked, and I think he's going to get outclassed by the great and powerful Patricio Pitbull, the former Bellator champ, and still, the most recent sitting Bellator featherweight champion. Odds for the fight, Pitbull's the underdog. Plus 165. I couldn't be confident in Yair. I wish it was 5 rounds. I will say I really do. But even in 3 rounds, I'm going Pitbull. Was that plus 135? The line's gotten wider. UFC fans just backing Yair, man. Come on, guys. Trust. Patricio special. Over 2.5, minus 225. Not into the over. I'm into the underdog. Patricio Pitbull as a dog to pull through makes a shitload of sense to me. I think he's getting his hand raised and he's going to be close towards mixing it up with the elite of the elites in the featherweight division. This is that true penultimate step. You win this one and sky's the limit. I think Patricio handles business against dangerous and dynamic kickboxer Yair, but flawed Yair. Yair's wrestling is not great. Yair's grappling defense is not great. I know he got the triangle element, but it's not great, man. Yair has always been suspect on the ground. Frankie Edgar years ago, Volkanovski recently, and I think even Brian Ortega, it's worth mentioning. Patricio Pitbull handles business in this fight. Pitbull, W, UFC debut win. The fans go fucking crazy, and I can't wait to see it. Let's fucking get it. Next fight on the card, we got Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva in our featured prelim, in our featured fight of the night. I am picking Gene Silva. I can't pick Bryce Mitchell. I can't pick Thug Nasty. I tried. And I know Gene Silva did pull the ghillie with Jourdain, almost said Charles Oliveira, with Jourdain, but was able to use the front headlock to get back up to his feet. It's not like he just pulled ghillie, jumped it like Joanderson Brito did. He used the front headlock position to work back up to his feet. There is a difference, right? You are giving up. And you are not really giving up, but you're giving bottom position. You are allowing your opponent to have top position as you shoot for that ghillie. Using it as a way to get up to your feet is different. It's a defensive position versus an offensive submission threat. I feel as though Gene Silva is going to have quality defensive grappling. And though I expect Bryce Mitchell at some point to nab a takedown or two, getting this fight to the ground, having some success, I do think Gene Silva is going to have a very good get-up game. He is a super fast twitch and explosive athlete that has already shown a good get-up game, and I think the jiu-jitsu skill set is going to surprise people in the defensive department if you are doubting him. Bryce Mitchell does have great takedowns and pressure, and he's consistent as hell with wrestling. He's got a good gas tank, and Bryce is trying to control on the ground. But when you talk about the striking department, let's say he lands a couple takedowns, but Gene keeps bursting up to his feet, and Gene starts making more and more reads over Bryce Mitchell. And now we're in a striking fight. Gene Silva landing one shot can end this thing. Do I think it's likely Bryce Mitchell subs up Gene Silva? I don't. I think Gene also has a tricky frame to submit with the stockiness, the big traps, kind of more shorter and stubbier. Does also have a good frame to defend takedowns and good get-up game frame. Silva's got the thudding knockout power, the really dangerous striking flow. He's very smooth and confident on the feet. He's a super heavy hitter, and I really feel as though Bryce, at all points throughout this fight, if they are standing up, is at substantial risk of getting his light shut off. I can't pick up Bryce Mitchell with this much of a threat of knockout. Could Bryce Mitchell land the takedowns, pull up Pat Sabatini and control? Maybe, but I don't think so. The difference is I believe that Gene Silva has a much higher fight IQ than Joanderson Brito. And it's not like Gene Silva has a loss to William Gomez that maybe we should have taken more seriously and said that's the fraud. Gene Silva has sensational win after sensational win. He hits like a fucking Mack truck. He's got strong hips. He's good from all ranges. I feel like Gene Silva is going to just land the perfect shot and sleep Bryce. I can't pick Bryce Mitchell. I'm watching Bryce Mitchell strike even in the Ige fight. Bryce missiles, bro. Holy shit. I'm watching Bryce strike in the Ige fight. I'm like, man, the hands look like shit. Bryce Mitchell striking is okay at best, but he's not a strong striker. He's a strong pressure grappler that striking shines with the grappling threat. But if Silva is successful in defending a few takedowns or even just getting up as Mitchell's shooting and avoiding dominant position, then we get more and more to the striking. It's going to be harder and harder for Bryce to get in on him. And then I think bigger and bigger shots will start to land. And I think Gene Silva is going to knock Bryce Mitchell unconscious. I'm going Gene Silva via KO. And I do think that the Fighting Nerds hype is real here. Now, of course, you got minus 300. It's not great odds. Opening, though, minus 450. So better than fucking at open. Look at that, minus 260. It just shifted. Bryce Mitchell, a plus 250 underdog. I'm going Gene Silva knockout. Under 2.5, minus 165. Of course, it's in the favorite status. It's likely. I'm going Gene Silva KO. He's live for a KO throughout the entire fight, all 3 rounds. I think he lands some thudding shots. I don't think Bryce's chin holds up from the bombs. Last fight, I mean, it was a nice win against Kron Gracie with the slam, and, you know, he took on a fellow grappler. There was no striking threat there, and it was a guy so willing to engage in grappling because that's where Kron wants it. And, yeah, Bryce Mitchell was nearly subbed in that fight, to be fair, but it's Kron fucking Gracie. Mitchell didn't get subbed, and then he finished him. Brutal loss to Josh Emmett by knockout, which gives me confidence in the Gene Silva KO chance. The Dan Ige win where Mitchell was busted up. Ilia Topuria, who, you know, sure, Bryce Mitchell had a little success wrestling. Then Topuria eventually fucking subs him up. I know Bryce had dropped some excuses of being sick going into that fight, injured and whatnot, and not feeling himself. But I'm not living off the excuses, man. Every fighter has some issues going into a fight, you know, to some extent. And I think Gene Silva is just destined to clap Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell. We're going Lord Gene Silva for the knockout win. I got love for Bryce Mitchell. All right. I respect the man of faith, my brother, but I have to say, I think that Gene Silva with the power bombs finds the finish. His striking, too slick, too elusive, too powerful. His get-up game should be solid. And the fact that he's not pulling these gillies, he's just using the front headlock to get up to his feet, gives me confidence that he's not going to get smothered like Sabatini was able to do against Joanderson Brito. So Gene Silva to win by knockout. The hype is real. Let's jump to the co-main event of the evening. We got Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett in the co-main. I am picking Paddy Pimblett to beat an aging Michael Chandler. He's nearly 39 years of age. Physically does not look like it. The dude's jacked and shredded. But I think that his best days are behind him. I know he's a heavy-handed boxing style, right, when he's on the feet. Of course, he's a wrestler, but Michael Chandler can rip some power shots, but he is also incredibly defensively inept because he's so offensive-minded in his striking. There are opportunities for good counters, and Paddy Pimblett actually has a really underrated straight punch. I could see him hitting Michael Chandler with a beautiful straight as Chandler's looking to explode on the inside. I think Paddy Pimblett from distance is definitely the better striker. I think he's also the faster striker. Chandler's boxing advantage would be in close range. that I feel as though Paddy Pimblett's chin holds up as Chandler rips some big shots. Because, listen, the Scousers can't get knocked out is still standing as truth as of right now. We haven't seen Pimblett put down. He's been hit with big punches, but that chin's been there. At times, I feel like Paddy is a bit stiff up the center and there to be hit. But Chandler's boxing, though it's explosive and powerful, I feel like his setups aren't great. He more forces the big punches. Like, sure, he can land the big looping shot and put him out like he did with Dan Hooker, but what's the likelihood of that? I don't think it's great. I will say I favor Michael Chandler's wrestling over Paddy Pimblett's, but I think Pimblett's jiu-jitsu slash grappling is better. And even if Chandler is able to wrestle a bit, I could see Paddy countering the takedowns and finding ways to dominant positions himself on the ground. I think that Paddy Pimblett is live to hurt Michael Chandler on the feet and potentially even club and sub him. I got a feeling that Paddy Pimblett is subbing up Michael Chandler, man. I think he might be choking him out. Could see 3 hard, but I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett club and sub. I think that he lands some type of big straight punch that catches Michael Chandler square on the fucking chin. I think Chandler's buckled. I think Paddy jumps towards grappling and locks up some type of choke, man. Paddy's got a good blitz. He can explode and close the gap very efficiently because he is a very fast twitch guy. Chandler's super explosive, but still, like I said, 39 nearly. He's got the good blast double. I expect him to try and mix in some wrestling here. But then again, with Michael Chandler, like he tries to be calm, but his style is not calmness. It's ballistic onslaught of savage pressure. And even though Paddy Pimblett has yet to get the true signature win amongst the elite. Yes, he choked out Green quickly, but, Bobby Green's pretty washed at this point. Tony Ferguson win. He rocked Ferguson real bad on the feet, though. You have to give him respect. He landed some big shots on the feet, and that's what I'm saying. That straight shot is money. The Jared Gordon fight, bad performance, and it could have went against him 100%. Still, it's 2 years ago. Paddy's 30 years old now, right? He was 28 back then. He's in his prime. He's getting better and better. Is Chandler? There's a lot of miles on that Chandler car. It's war after war, 5-round fights, and I just can't see Michael Chandler making a serious run to the top, whereas Paddy's got a real chance for it, man. I feel like Paddy the Baddy's always been destined to mix it up with the highest level in the UFC because he's been known by most MMA fans pre-UFC. And, there were some testy moments early on in the rise, but I think Paddy Pimblett has started to really find his flow state. And I think he's going to beat Michael Chandler in this fight. And I really do think club and sub is a real live method of victory for him here. Now, as far as the betting lines, Paddy at -170, Chandler +145. I got too much doubt in Michael Chandler. I know he just went 5 rounds with Charles Oliveira and he had that great blitz, but still, man, styles make the fights. I think Chandler's going to look to explode. He get caught by something with Paddy. I think Paddy can win the grappling exchanges and take Chandler's back. I think it's a close fight, but I feel like Chandler's live to finish it. -172, -170 for the over 1.5. Damn, bro. Laying the chalk on Paddy the Baddy over Michael Chandler, is it worthwhile? He opened up at +120. If you got that dog tag, you're living lavishly. That's a really good line, but that was well over a month ago that those odds opened up. I can't pick Chandler. 1-4 in his last 5. He got dropped by Tony Ferguson in the first round before landing the hellish front kick. Did hit him with a nasty blast double and slammed him to the mat. Had a good back and forth with Poirier, but ultimately still was broken and choked out. Went 5 rounds with Charles Oliveira, which you got to demand some respect for that. I do respect it, but he did cheat in that fight. Bent the rules, a lot of behind the head shots, which I absolutely hated seeing. I think Paddy Pimblett can finish what Charles Oliveira was unable to do the last time. I think Paddy's live. Either later sub is a possibility or potential for Paddy nabbing this thing on the judges' scorecards. His striking's underrated. Paddy can kickbox pretty well. He's fast from the outside. He's got, like I said, the good straights. His kicks are not bad either. Takedown defense, normally pretty good. Offensive grappling, really good. And I think submission threat is live as well. And he's in his fucking prime, man. And I don't think Michael Chandler is. I'm going Paddy Pimblett for the win and the biggest win of his life at that in the co-main event. Main event of the evening. It's Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes for the vacant UFC featherweight belt. If you guys haven't, make sure you hit the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Who is my pick in this one? Ooh. Oh, I'm going to pick Diego Lopes. Dream, believe, and make it happen, man. I love the tattoo. It's truth. And I think that's what Lopes is a guy that's going to deliver a sensational win over a legend in this game. Diego Lopes is heavy-handed, man. Even though he is a jiu-jitsu coach, Diego Lopes has some gnarly striking. He's got really powerful hooks. He's got good hand speed. He's got a tight guard, which I like from him. Looked real good against Brian Ortega last time and even looked real good in the third round. I think that some people were kind of unfairly holding criticism against him because of this fight against Dan Ige, where he didn't look great in the third round, but it was a weird circumstance with Ige taking the fight on days, not even hours notice, and then being heavier at 165, not having to, cut that weight previously, and then Diego Lopes having, shredded himself down to 145. You're essentially fighting like a fucking welterweight Dan Ige because he didn't cut any weight. I think that Diego Lopes land some big shots on Volkanovski. I think he can deal with Volk's jab. Volk does have a really nice jab. He can deal with Volk's grappling pressure. Volkanovski's wrestling's underrated. He can definitely land takedowns. But I question Volk's chin, even though I know he's taken a year off since that brutal Topuria loss, but still had back-to-back KO losses. Chin could have recovered a bit, but then also it leads this question for me. It's like, I think Diego Lopes could win it over 5 rounds. I don't think he needs a finish. I think he's faster than Alexander Volkanovski, a little more explosive than Volk. Jiu-jitsu threat is definitely there. We saw Volkanovski caught in a nasty gilly years ago by Brian Ortega and find his way out just purely off of grit. Diego Lopes could threaten in grappling positions here. It's like Diego Lopes doesn't really have like a gap in skills. He's very well-versed. Solid striking skills with explosive power and really fast hands. Solid kicking skills, dangerous high kicks. And Volkanovski, he likes to slip side to side. I anticipate Diego Lopes throw some high kicks. We saw the head kick knockout in vicious fashion from Makhachev as they faced off. I think Diego could use it, at least as a weapon, to keep Volkanovski on notice and kind of limit his movement. And then the threat of the kicks, it could end up opening up punches and blitz for Diego. I think he could sit Volkanovski with a big punch. Can Volk pull off a tactical 5-round performance against the hottest prospect in the sport right now, who's absolutely surging? I just lean no. I think Diego Lopes could land a power shot. I think he could hurt Volkanovski. I think he could drop Volkanovski. I think he could finish him with ground and pound. In all combat sport, great champions reach a time where they're no longer performing at the same level, and somebody new comes up with excitement and explosiveness, and the OGs will hold on to faith of what once was. But I have to accept the reality that I do not believe that this version of Alexander Volkanovski is the same Alexander Volkanovski that fought Islam Makhachev the first time, nor do I believe that it's the same Volkanovski that beat Yair Rodriguez. We have a Volkanovski who's been badly knocked out in 2 straight fights. And yes, one of them was very short notice, and then it was a quick turnaround to Topuria. But that damage is still a reality. He's 36 years old. On the opposite end, you have Diego Lopes at 30, entering his prime now, okay? This is his first fight as a 30-year-old man. I feel like fighters get better when they hit 30 a lot of the time. I think Lopes can catch him with big punches in the close range, big flurries as Volk closes the gap. I don't think Volk's just like chewing his legs apart and working a jab for 5 rounds. I don't think Volk is blasting double legs and just controlling Lopes on the mat. I think Lopes is relentless with his attack. His power is legit. He nearly put Brian Ortega out in 20 seconds in their fight. I think he can catch Volkanovski with some big shots and potentially drop him and finish him off with ground and pound. There's a chance that Diego Lopes looks to showcase the submission threat because he definitely has it. I just think it's Diego's time. He's an accurate striker with mad knockout power, and I just feel like it. Big range, at least big height advantage. Range advantage, he's got an inch in reach, but 5'11" to 5'6". Prime Volkanovski, when you break this down, you would say, okay, Prime Volk could work a jab, block the big flurries of Lopes, time some takedowns, avoid the jiu-jitsu threat, garnering control time on top with peppering ground and pound, assuming Diego climbs the cage, getting back up to the feet. It's more of a mix-up in striking, and both guys have moments, but just the potential for the one-shot knockout feels so high in a matchup with Diego Lopes in general. But on top of that, Volkanovski showing signs of decline and a deteriorating chin, I just can't pick him. I think Diego Lopes is going to land a death touch punch, and I think he is going to capture the UFC featherweight belt. I feel it coming, man. It just seems like written in the stars at this point that in Miami, Diego Lopes knocks out the once great Volkanovski. Odds for the fight, Diego Lopes plus 125. He's the underdog, looking to become a champ for the first time. Volk looking to win the belt back. Old man Volk at minus 145. I don't see it, man. Under 2.5 plus 170. If they went 5 hard rounds and Lopes outworked Volkanovski, hitting him with some big shots, landing more significant shots to the head, hitting him with a flash knockdown, winning some grappling exchanges, losing a round or two, but then getting it on the judges' scorecards, I don't think that's an impossibility, because you look at Diego Lopes finishing the fight against Ortega so strongly, and I felt as though he wasn't even tired after a high-paced 3-rounder with Brian Ortega. That tells me that Diego Lopes has true 5-round cardio. I know Volkanovski does, of course, but we have a 5-round cardio Lopes with the threat of the KO or submission. I have to go with the fighter that is much more likely to get the finish, the fighter that seems to be more primed. I'm going to say Diego Lopes catches Volkanovski with some big shots, puts him away, or potentially clubs and subs him. I'm going Diego Lopes inside distance. Wouldn't be an impossibility for a 49-46, and he uses his speed advantage, has bigger moments, and outworks the OG. But ultimately, I feel as though we ain't going 5 rounds on Saturday. I think we're destined for a finish and a champion to be crowned that's never held the belt before. And also, Volk being, 36 years old, statistically less likely in these lower weight classes to capture success at this point, as opposed to his counterpart at 30 and just looking better and better. Like, my question for you is this: do you think that he's better since the Ortega fight? I guarantee it. I think Diego Lopes is going to be better than the fight against Brian Ortega, and I think he's going to be a menace for Volk to deal with. Is Volk going to be better from the Topuria fight? Maybe he'll be more durable because he's taking some time off, but it could not be. The chin could just be gone. The layoff or not couldn't end up not mattering. The chin is washed. It happens. This game is fucking ruthless, man. And I think it's Diego Lopes' time. I'm going Diego Lopes. I'll say knockout finish, but, there's a chance of another method of victory like a submission too. But I think he claps the once great Alexander Volkanovski, knocking him out on the feet, man. As well-rounded as Volk is, and as calm as he is picking his shots, I don't think he can avoid the Diego Lopes chaos factor. Watch for high kicks from Lopes. Watch for big hooks from Lopes. Watch for his uppercut as well. I could see Volkanovski walking into one of those. Good forward pressure style, making Volkanovski uncomfortable. And then with the high-level grappling skills as well, I just can't see Volkanovski having much comfortability in the fight. And I think an uncomfortable Volk makes a big mistake and gets put away. Diego Lopes to win the main event, to capture the crown, UFC 314. We're going underdog to cap it off. We're going Diego Lopes W to cap it off. Those are predictions for UFC 314. I'm damn excited for this card, man. We needed this banger. After that Apex card, which was shiesty last week, we needed a high-quality card this week, and thank God we have a pay-per-view. Guys, if you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button. If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you subscribe too. Definitely let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments down below. If you have nothing to say, but just enjoy the content, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy, per usual. If you really enjoy what you're hearing and you want to watch more often, turn the post notifications on. I got videos and live streams pretty much every damn day of the week. So stay tuned for the daily content. I love each and every one of you savages. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. And I'll see you all throughout the entire week. Much love. Peace out.